Huggy Wuggy escaped. Well, it happened in 1992, and he was captured again. And we know this because Mob Games released a VHS tape documenting the entire ordeal. They posted the video last night on their YouTube channel. It's called Restricted Disappearance 06/18/1992, the day of this incident. I'll explain the course of the events, but after that, I've got 10 secret details that you may not have noticed. So let's just jump straight into this thing. The tape starts off with dash cam footage and a bit of dialogue between two security team members. They briefly mention the strategy for tailing Experiment 1170, who we know as Huggy Wuggy. We then jump backwards in time a little bit to the security camera footage in the delivery bay, which briefly shows Huggy running through an open door. This happens at exactly 10:27 at night. It's mentioned that two team members see this and hit the alarm, which we now know prompts the security guards in the beginning of the video to go on the chase. We're then told that in the 3 minutes following the security cam footage, Huggy Wuggy was able to get half a mile away from the facility. At this point, all security available are on the chase. We then jump back to the security guards that we met in the beginning, and then this happens. Jump scare number 1. It seems they survive because they shoot back at Huggy. 8 minutes later, he's hit with some tranquilizers, but he's still able to flee into the woods. This starts, in my opinion, the scary part of the video, the woods footage. But don't worry, we'll come back to these scenes. There's a few secrets in there. From 10:50 all the way to 3:38 AM, the search expands into a 4 square mile radius. But now, it encroaches into residential areas. And we're told the security team's radios don't work as well in this radius. This, as well as the fact that the teams turn into smaller groups, results in their demise. We can see here at 11:34, one of the team members is picked off. We're then showed several photos of team members blurred out who've been captured and killed by Huggy Wuggy. But we're also told of 6 that have gone missing. 4 hours later, you're told that Huggy Wuggy has been sedated and captured, following a clip of some really weird screaming. We're then shown a letter by Laith Pierre, where he describes being utterly perplexed that security didn't know Huggy Wuggy escaped through the ventilation system, and that it was only blind luck that they found Huggy Wuggy before somebody else did, despite it costing lives of employees, ending it with the innovation department not being happy at all, including him, the head of innovation. And in the final cutscene, a dark residential house at 3:38 AM, the final minute of Huggy Wuggy's escape. But we'll come back to this one as well. And that's the overall story of Huggy's escape summed up. So now let's jump into the fun details. At number 1, we've got the vent escape. Huggy pulled a Gregory and he vented out of that place. And we've seen him do this before. You know, the vent chase scene in chapter 1. So he clearly has experience. This may be the first time he actually gained that experience. And since it's a surprise, based on Laith Pierre's reaction as well as the security team's inability to foresee this, there's only one Big Daddy helper that's available to help Huggy Wuggy get here, or at least smart enough to use those vents. Yeah, you guessed it, the prototype. From our experiences in Project Playtime, it's pretty clear that the prototype is the Big Daddy helper. He's the one that tells us to get up, as we play as Huggy Wuggy in the tutorial. He has the ability to speak to their minds like a hive mind, and he displays higher levels of intelligence, as we've seen in VHS tapes in chapter 2, where he made a laser from a clock. So what's to say he wasn't able to advise Huggy Wuggy to use the ventilation system to escape? Anyway, we know Huggy Wuggy's a venting master. He just didn't learn it from playing Among Us. On to detail number 2. He ate a deer. At 11:33, when the security guards split up and try to find Huggy Wuggy, one of them stumbles upon this deer with fresh red blood on it, which could only mean there's a predator out there. A predator that likes blood, kinda like Huggy Wuggy. Now, it doesn't mean that there isn't another predator out there that could have done this, but we know he has an insatiable hunger, and it's clearly not just for humans or toys, but anything that bleeds. Shortly after this, he leaves another bloodbath of the security guards, so it must have been him. Now for detail number 3, 4, 5, and 6, we're gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna show you 4 instances where you didn't see Huggy Wuggy hiding in the background. Okay, you may have seen the first 2, but I guarantee you didn't see the second 2. Okay, starting off at number 3. Once we get to the forest VHS footage, in the second camera viewing, if you look near the middle and slightly to the left, right here, and look closely, you'll see a few frames where you can see Huggy walking in the background. You can barely see his long arms dangling down, and he only appears in a pixel before that. But if we jump into secret detail number 4, and I'm guessing this is the one people probably saw the most, you can see the continuation of his walking path. This time it's in the 3rd security camera angle, and he appears in about 3 frames. His long spaghetti arms are a lot more visible, but again, if you look at the top right, you can see him making his way down, and then behind the tree, and then to the top left again, as he continues away into the darkness. This is the one where he's easily most most visible, but again a lot of people missed this. Now on to detail number 5. I like referring to these ones as the murder scene, and I guarantee you probably didn't see Huggy Wuggy in this. Well, you saw him when he killed him, but before that he appears a couple of times as well. When the person with the camera first appears on the scene and sees the dead deer, he veers his camera to the right. If you slow things down really slowly and look out into the distance between the trees over here, you can see Huggy Wuggy staring back at you, and he slowly retracts his head back down behind the bushes. Clearly this is the first instance where he sees the person and then begins his hunt, which we know ends in him coming closer and killing him. But this is the furthest he is away from the person. Be honest, comment below whether you saw this one or not, because it took me a long time to find it. And now on to detail number 6. Again, this one is in the murder scene, but it's a little bit further on, and it's just before the person gets attacked. There is a moment where the person is looking from left to right, and if you slow this down, you can see Huggy Wuggy standing right in front of him. He's between some trees, but he's clearly visible. You can see his long blue arms and yellow hands, and this is as close as he gets to the person before he kills them. But clearly the person doesn't see Huggy in both of these instances. Pretty cool, right? And be honest again, if you saw this one, let me know. Now on to detail number 7. The screams make no sense. After the portion in the video where it shows us the security guards that have gone missing and that have passed away, we're shown this scene. It seems to be the scene where the previous person died. You can see their gun on the ground and it looks like a similar environment to before. In this scene, you can also hear a loud scream from a monster of some kind, followed by text that it takes nearly 4 hours to relocate and sedate 1170, kind of giving the indication that that scream may have been from Huggy Wuggy himself, maybe when he was caught. The problem is when you compare that sound to his jump scare sound, you can see a big difference in the tone of the voice. In his jump scare, it's a lot more high-pitched and screamy, whereas in the video it sounds just different. It's not that high-pitched, it's louder, and just sounds like a completely different type of beast. Now that could be Huggy Wuggy when he's in pain or something like that, but I just feel like there's more to this. Is there another predator out there? I don't know, but I'm not convinced that was him. On to detail number 8. The letter that Leith Pierre sends. It's pretty obvious he's just sharing his concern and his anger at what's happened, but there's a very clear name missing at the top. I was unable to figure it out after trying for a while. Please comment below if you figure out who this is. It's super important, because rather than just looking at this letter as a piece of information from Leith Pierre, it kind of feels like he's saying that people from the innovation department are the ones that stopped the monster. Look what he says. We found him before somebody else did. The innovation department is not happy. He's saying it in a way where the innovation department is the people that found him, or maybe even stopped him. Based on the information we've received so far, it seemed like the security team was failing in their ability to do this, and it just got harder with the wider radius and less people in the team. So how could they have stopped him? Maybe it took something else. Maybe it took someone from the innovation department that might know the real Huggy Wuggy, like the soul deeper inside, that was able to stop him. And that's why he says it is only blind luck that we found him before somebody else did. Or the we could be referring to we as in Playtime Co. and employees there like security. But I feel like the angle he's writing it is very specific. Now on to detail number 9. The residential area. It was intentionally pointed out that the radius of their search increased exponentially over time. And this was because Huggy Wuggy was getting away and fast. But in the final scene of the video, we see this house, a residential house, showing that Huggy Wuggy actually entered into a residential area, quite literally in front of someone's home. Not only that, and I know maybe you saw this, maybe you didn't, but for those that didn't, if you turn up the brightness, Huggy Wuggy is there. He's standing in front of the house. He got this far away from the factory. He clearly wasn't able to be caught in the forest. But that takes me on to the next detail and the final one, detail number 10. Was he caught or did he give himself up? This last scene showing Huggy Wuggy isn't a still, it's a video recording, so that means he is standing still. The chase took quite a few hours. Does that mean he ran out of juice? We can see that he was eating along the way, whether it was deer or people, but maybe that insatiable hunger is what drives him, and it constantly needs to be maintained. Maybe at this point he ran out of juice, because we know these are the final moments before he's caught. Look at the time at the bottom. It correlates with the time of how long the chase was. But there's an even cooler theory than this. Maybe this was his destination. As we know, the source of the toy's souls is from little children. Is this the original soul's house? and he just wanted to come home. What's more, if we go back to the detail we found before, where we theorized that Laith, Pierre, and the innovation team were the ones that were actually able to bring down Huggy Wuggy, then it would make sense because they would be the ones that know the original soul's home, so they would know where to find him if he were to return home. But there's a problem. Most of the souls are from orphan children, but there's a chance these first ones, like Huggy Wuggy, Poppy, and the prototype, were sourced from different souls because they were test runs, and maybe the mass-produced souls were the ones that were taken from orphans. But hey look, that's all I've got. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe right now, or this'll happen.
Son of a...